What's up guys, my name is Dychronic Joe's here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be talking about my top 5 favorite PvE primaries in Destiny 2. And just as a very quick disclaimer, this is about primary weapons. I do get a lot of comments asking me about certain things, and it's a difficulty of disparagement between kinetic and energy versus primary and special. So this is about the weapons that use primary ammo. It's going to be the ammo, things like hand cannons, scout rifles, bows. It is not shotguns and snipers. So it does not matter what slot they're going to be in, kinetic or energy. This is about primary ammo weapons. The ranking of these weapons are based mostly on my own opinion. I have about 500,000 kills in PvE. I play Destiny 2 pretty much every single day, and I have a pretty decent idea about PvE and the weapons that are good for it. On top of that, more specifically, these weapons are ranked based on the kill potential, how easy it is and noob friendly it is to get a kill, as well as the drop chance and the random rolls and all the stuff that you can have on it. And of course, no Dychronic video would be complete without cute and adorable animals near the beginning of the video. This is basically my way of saying thank you for watching the video. I don't really like to ask for likes. I just hope that you see these cute animals and you do the right thing. But thank you. I always appreciate you guys watching my videos, especially my top 5s. It really does mean a lot to me. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Coming up at number 5 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the Breakneck Legendary Auto Rifle, and this weapon is pretty insane. If you haven't heard of this 450 RPM auto rifle, you've got to give it a try. Now, to get this weapon, it is a pinnacle weapon, so it does take a bit of time to get. I believe it released with Black Armory. You have to do 40 games of Gambit. You have to do a bunch of auto rifle kills against challenging enemies and regular enemies in Gambit. But once you do get this weapon to drop, if you like hand cannons, this is going to be your #1 weapon. This weapon is insane. Now, if you did not know, this weapon has Rampage and Onslaught. Rampage being incredible for PvE. Onslaught, basically your fire rate increases the more stacks of Rampage you have. So your DPS goes up very quickly as you start to kill off enemies. Now, on top of that, it also has a hidden perk where it actually increases your reload speed as you get more stacks of Onslaught. Now, it does not say this, but I have seen evidence where it does reload faster. So you've got your damage perks, you've got an increase of DPS on top of that, and you also got faster reload. This weapon is actually really nice. Honestly, as far as modifiers go, with either Rampage spec or a backup mag, because this weapon oftentimes runs out of ammo really fast because it starts spinning up very quickly. But honestly, auto rifles are not really that meta these days, and that's why it's at number 5 and not higher on the list. And to be completely honest, you do have to get a few kills before this weapon starts to crunch. So if you're a bit lower than the current recommended light on a certain activity, you're doing some raids or you're doing some high-level nightfalls, this weapon is not going to be your favorite friend because you're going to need to start getting kills, and to get kills, you need to have enough damage output, and you might start to lose out. Coming up at number 4 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the legendary pulse rifle known as bygones. Now, pretty much everybody these days has a bygones. It's a 390 pulse rifle for 3 bursts. This weapon is middling, so you can get some pretty good ranges, pretty good stability. It's fast enough to handle what you need it to do, but it's not too fast that you totally miss every single shot. This weapon is fantastic in both PvE and PvP. Probably the most universally amazing weapon for a lot of different people, and this weapon is amazing. It drops with so many amazing perks like Kill Clip and Rampage. It can also have Head Seeker on it. It can have Outlaw, it can have Full Auto, lots of great stuff. There's also a curated roll directly from the Drifter if you want to get that. Outside of that, it drops randomly in Gambit for Gambit ranks, Gambit Prime. Honestly, there's really not much to say about this weapon. Most people understand this weapon is really good, and I recommend you use it if you haven't already. Coming up at number 3 in this top 5 list is going to be the legendary hand cannon known as Kindled Orchid. Now, this 150 RPM void hand cannon that came with Black Army, it drops from the Gofanin Force from the weapon frame, has absolutely been taking the community by storm because it can drop with Drop Mag, Kill Clip, and Rampage, meaning that it has 2 extra damage perks and a fast reload perk. As a 140 hand cannon, it honestly reminds me of the better devil days of Curse of Osiris and Warmind. This weapon absolutely crunches through enemies, does incredible amounts of damage, and is really, really fun to use. Now, in my opinion, a lot of people are going to be a bit upset this weapon is at number 3 and not number 1 or number 2, and there's a big reason for that. And that reason is that it is an energy weapon. If you did not know, energy weapons do an extra amount of damage to energy shields, and kinetic weapons do an extra amount of damage to enemies without any shields on them. So in general, kinetic weapons, on average, against general fodder without any shields, are going to be doing more DPS, more damage, and have more one-shot potential than any energy weapon in the game, which is why, in my opinion, kinetics are the main thing you should be using for primary weapons, and then energy should be more for special weapons. Even that said, kill clip and rampage makes this weapon a very amazing weapon. It's just that number 1 and number 2 have stolen my heart, and I cannot let them go. Coming up at number 2 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the legendary pulse rifle known as Chattering Bone. Now, a lot of people like this weapon. Not a lot of people would put it this high in the list, but I've got to argue for it because it is one of my favorite weapons in the entire game. This weapon is incredible. So first off, this is a 450 pulse rifle that can be dropped from the Last Wish raid. Lots of opportunities for it to drop with a curated roll of high impact reserves, kill clip, and light mag, meaning it has faster reload and 2 perks to increase its damage. This weapon is actually really good. On top of that, it's a lightweight weapon. A lot of people underestimate lightweight, but in PvE, you're going to be running a lot. So if there's a lot of easy activities, run a lightweight weapon and you'll be able to get through it a little bit faster. And that, in my opinion, is extremely valuable. On top of the fact, you can escape enemy fire a lot quicker. The same reason you use the run faster boots is so you can escape enemies quicker and you can actually get out of dangerous scenarios very quickly. To be completely honest, when you compare this weapon with the bygones has better stability, better range, and a couple other better perks or better stats than it in almost every way, except for the Chattering Bone is a 450, meaning that it fires faster. And in my opinion, for things like Last Wish Raid, you're going to be popping off a lot of little scions, and you want to have faster fire rate over extra damage because you're going to be one bursting each one of them anyways. And honestly, I just really like the fire rate of 450s. It shoots fast, but it's not uncontrollable. And finally, coming up at number 1 in this top 5 countdown is gonna be a repeat of last time, the legendary hand cannon known as Midnight Coup / Spare Ration. Now, both of these weapons are lightweight frame 150 kinetic hand cannons. Spare Rations came out with the Jokers Wild DLC. It drops in Reckoning and it drops in Gamma Prime now. This weapon is actually really good. Midnight Coup drops from the Leviathan, or you can get it from Benedict by completing Leviathan that week and purchasing it from him. It has a drop of Outlaw and Rampage. Both weapons are absolutely phenomenal, and they both share the slot because they're basically the same kind of weapon. Now, that being said, Midnight Coup is a 3-column year 1 weapon, meaning that it cannot have a modifier in it. The year 2 Spare Rations has 4 columns, so it can have more different perks on it. It has a modifier slot to put a modifier in it, and on top of that, Masterwork has more options. I don't believe the Midnight Coup can actually have a range Masterwork randomized into it, and the fact is that it's also very expensive. Nobody wants to spend 10 Masterwork cores just to randomize a Midnight Coup. Now, if you take a look at the stat differences between the Midnight Coup and the Spare Rations wins in almost every way. It has better range as well as more range boost potentials with different mods. It has better stability, it has a smaller weapon size, it has slightly better aim assistance. This weapon is just better in almost every way, including the fact that its recoil direction is straight up and down 100, whereas Midnight Coup is 80. Now, that being said, I actually prefer the recoil direction to go up and right more than up and down. Now, if you think about it, most people think up and down, that's better recoil, it's more control, you know what you're doing. Now, the Midnight Coup goes a little up and right, and I prefer that, because if you're going up and down, you're covering your target. And with auto rifles and stuff that shoot really fast, that doesn't matter because you're pushing down on it all the time. Whereas hand cannons, you let it auto center on you by itself, and oftentimes if it goes up and down, you cover the target and you miss a lot more shots if you don't know exactly where the target is. Whereas Midnight Coup, you go up and right and it reveals the target, which means you can get back on target exactly where you're going. It helps with like a nice little flick, and you keep on flicking back to the target to keep getting headshots, and once you get used to it, in my opinion, it makes a Midnight Coup a little bit better. Now, in every argument out there except for that, the Spare Rations is better, especially considering you can get pretty much the same roll on the Spare Rations but with better stats. But I just like my Midnight Coup better because of the fact that it reveals the target. Now, as far as rolls on these Spare Rations, you can not have Outlaw or any reload perks like Drop Mag, but you can have Rapid Hit. So the best combo on it, in my opinion, is going to be Rapid Hit with Rampage with some range and stability boost, because I often find that the stability, if it's less than that of the Midnight Coup, it's a little bit too difficult to handle. So try to go for stability and range when it comes to Spare Rations. Multi-kill clip and kill clip are not very good on these hand cannons. In my opinion, hand cannons, you gotta go with Rampage, and you can also put a Rampage spec on them, which makes it so they last a little bit longer. Anyways, that is pretty much it. That's my countdown. On to the honorable mentions, to mention a couple other categories that you may have missed. For example, for auto rifles outside of breakneck, if you want to go get breakneck, Tiger Spite and Rain Nail, 450 RPMs, very nice, lots of great perks it can drop with. Next up, we have the Go Figure and Blast Furnace, the 4-burst 450 pulse rifles that are very, very good at extremely far ranges. Things with far range Gambit or far range Crucible are absolutely fantastic. Next up, Ace of Spades, the best standalone primary in the game, has Firefly, faster reload on precision hits. It has a Dragonfly Explosion, has aim down sights, have radar, it has a kill clip kind of thing. This weapon, oh, and it has nearly maxed out range. This weapon is fantastic. It's just that it is an exotic, so it gets knocked out because exotics are reserved for heavy in PvE. Next up for bows, honestly, Spiteful Fang from Black Armory. It's lightweight, it's a 660 charge rate, so it's pretty fast, and it has superior accuracy, so it can do longer range engagements than that of the Arsenic Bite and the Tyranny of Heaven. And then lastly, for scout rifles, Oxygen SR3, fantastic 180 RPM, means it has a decent range and good fire rate. Has that weird thing, I forget what it's called, where you do bigger Dragonfly explosions the more headshots you do. This weapon is just really nice to have if you want a scout rifle. And for SMGs and sidearms, I really don't have any recommendations. There's not really a lot of SMGs and sidearms that I use, and they're really not that meta. If you want an SMG, Huckleberry is definitely your Huckleberry. Sidearms, I honestly do not know. But anyways, that's pretty much it. That is a video for guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know if you had any questions or different rankings in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next one.